Welcome, everybody. It's Monday, it's winter, it's evening, it's dark, and you're at the Hopeless Stream. And today I'm going to take the Hopeless Stream into space. So please join me for this space adventure. Tonight is a special treat. It is a blast from the past. It is the 1993 cult hit, Last Frontier, the Vesuvius incident. So this is a game that was designed by Neil Sofji and Michael Wasson, and it was published by Fat Messiah Games in 1993. And it built on a tradition of making micro games that was in place at that point in time. And so this game is a game that didn't really originally come in a box. It came in a Ziploc bag. This is the rule book, and this is also like the size of the Ziploc bag that the game would be in. And then this huge map down here would be folded into the Ziploc bag, and all these nice little counters, flimsy little counters, would be there in a counter sheet, and you had to take your scissors and cut everything out. Now, the game did come in a second edition some years back. I can't remember how many, maybe 10 years back, maybe less, with sort of a better quality map and also wooden counters, which makes things a lot more easy because, fiddling around with these counters, you can see like they're like super, super thin. And yeah, these are just like tiny little, very thin counters. So playing around with them gets very, very fiddly. But it's not for no reason that you tuned into the Hopeless Stream. Because here we embrace fiddliness and we embrace the impossibility of playing some of these games. This is a challenge to my dexterity. It is a tactile challenge that I'm gonna take on. So yeah, sure, it's probably nicer with big wooden blocks and everything, but I really, really love the idea of games that you can just pack into a tiny Ziploc bag and carry with you. And as you'll see, this game is there's so much game in this little Ziploc bag. Like, this is massive. This is a simulation style game. It is from the early 90s, and already there you're beginning to move into different territory. More sort of the beginnings of Euro games were there, where you would have more streamlined thematic mechanics. But here, this is a game that sort of looks back to earlier games, and it is a space game, it is an alien game, and there was the famous Aliens board game from 1989, which this game clearly owes some debt to. And there was, of course, Space Hulk, the massive Games Workshop hit, a game that also came out in 89, so maybe Aliens came out in 87, I can't remember. But Space Hulk, 89, I got Space Hulk in 89 and I'm still playing it to this day. So this is a game that has been with me for 35 years. Space Hulk, that is. This game, on the other hand, Last Frontier, I only got a copy of quite recently. I never had a copy back in the day, back in the 90s. So I was super excited to find this secondhand edition and just bust it out and cut out all the pieces and attempt this madness, because it is truly madness. It is fiddly, and you'll see me rolling dice like you've never seen me rolling dice before. And sometimes, if it's like an important die roll, I may tell you what I'm trying to roll for, but a lot of the time, you'll just see me rolling dice and I'll not even mention it. It's just like an activity I do with my hand while I play this game. So Swordlander asks, when did the game come out? It came out in 93. So it's really sort of at that breaking point between sort of an earlier Hex and Counter, hardcore Ameritrash style, and then the more modern Euro games that came out, like Settler of Catan. Is that 94 or something? We're just at the cusp of something new. So this game, I think when it came out, was actually looking back at an earlier tradition of playing games. So it was already outdated to some extent when it came out, but it's also in many ways like the pinnacle of a lot of those games that came before. It is very cinematic. It is very detailed in the simulation, and it has one of the most interesting underused mechanics that I've seen in the board game in a very, very long time. And you'll see that as we play on. But the idea basically is that turns are malleable. So if nothing is really happening, if there are no immediate dangers on a turn, you basically get to do what you want. You can sort of wander around, swap equipment, position your guys, and then the moment that any kind of action happens, then you go into this kind of bullet mode play style where, every little hex you move counts and distance counts and all the little factors count. And then as soon as the drama is over and you're hopefully not completely eradicated, then you move into these sort of big soft turns again. So it's very much like a movie in the rhythm of the game. And I don't know why this has not been exploited in more games, because it's such an opportunity to have like a detailed simulation, but not get hung up on it. So you have to play out like the tiniest details all the time as you play the game. You only play out the tiniest detail when the heat is on. And I must say that the heat is on a lot of the time in this game. But still, I really like the idea, and I think it's something that could be developed much further. I should also say that this game will be played with a bottle of Surya wine. Nice label. And Surya, of course, means sun in Sanskrit. So I thought that would be appropriate for a space game. So what you're looking at here on the map is a spaceship. We are Marines aboard the Vesuvius, and we have come across this lab ship that is sort of drifting in space. It's circling around a planet, and we cannot get any radio contact with this ship. So we are 12 Marines that are being sent out in a shuttle to attach ourselves to this lab ship and find out what the hell's going on. Like, why are these guys not picking up the phone? And what you see down here is our tiny little shuttle that has attached itself to the big ship. And interestingly, there used to be a second shuttle here, but that shuttle is gone. So someone left the ship. Maybe all of the crew left the ship. We really don't know at this point. And the ship itself is built in a way, so you can see this is the length of the ship here. And then down at this end of the ship, there is like a giant ring that circles around and it spins. And that means that by spinning around, you can have gravity in that ring. So it's really only in the ring that there is gravity. Out here in sort of the mothership, the base stem of the ship, there is zero gravity. So we're just going to be bouncing around in space, which makes things complicated. If, however, we get into the rings, and that is by taking one of these lift cars and just sliding them out here to the ring, then we'll go down on these two maps here. And these two maps should actually be seen as if they're in connection, like it's one big loop. So when you leave this map here, you enter this map down here. When you leave this map here, you enter this map down here. So you can just basically go in loops. And this is where all the living quarters of the crew are, where all the labs are, the computer rooms and everything. Out here is sort of more bare bones, with the engine room down here and the astrophysics lab on top the engine room. And over here, there is also a big cargo shuttle and a small command pod out here. And those are all detachable units that can fly away from the ship. So we're going to enter this ship, and we have no idea what's actually really going on. We're gonna find that out. But when so we don't know what we're gonna find, but what we do know is that the crew has not been the crew from the lab ship has not really been answering our calls. And we're trying to basically account for the crew. I mean, we're also, of course, interested in finding out what's going on in the ship, but we're basically trying to find out, any information we can on the crew. But there is this circumstance which is kind of problematic, and that is that this ship, it has started to go into a death spiral. So it's closing in on the atmosphere. And right now, the orbit timer that you can see here is on 7. That means we have around 15 minutes before the ship enters the atmosphere and burns up. So we have 15 minutes to get in here, find out everything we can, rescue any crew members that may be in there alive, and get the hell back out and leave the ship again. And normally when you play this game, you will start up here with a longer orbit time. So we'll start at 15, which is roughly 30 minutes. And but the reason that I put it down to 7 here is because, just to avoid the game running too long, we're on stream. It's kind of a complicated game, and I want to show you as much of it as possible, and possibly also the end game if I get there. So we're gonna up the stakes here a little bit. So I basically cut off like 15 minutes of the game, so we're just starting real rough. And time basically only moves when nothing else is happening. When you're in bullet time, you don't really move the timer because everything goes so fast. But when you have these slower moves where you can do more, that's when time starts ticking against you. So right now we have 12 men in our shuttle, and the 12 men, they're also presented down here. They all have a status marker. Right now it's on healthy. They go to the bottom, they're dead. Let's hope that doesn't happen. And then they got various sort of weapons here. Some's got a plasma gun, some's got rifles, some got normal guns. There's also a medic. He's got a med kit. There's a hacker. And we have been able to scan a layout of the ship before we enter. So we do know, for example, that out here in the command pod, there is a computer, which is where we expect some information to be on the crew. And there's also a computer room over here where we also hope to be able to download like a big dump of data from the ship, kind of the black box of the ship or something to that effect. So those are 2 immediate targets that we have as we enter. But right now, that's really all we know. So if you're ready for it, then I think I'm ready. And I must say, as I said already, like there's going to be a lot of dice rolling. I will also be flipping around tables, possibly looking in this book. I hope not too much. But we're just going to, take it as it is and see where this journey into space will take us. So cheers, everybody. Home this Monday night. I hope you're having a good night, good start to the week. Join me for a glass of wine or a coffee or a tea or whatever and get them spacesuits on, and let's start finding out what happened to the USS Feynman. So what we're going to start with here is in our first exploration turn. I've set up a few teams, so we have 3 groups with 4 Marines in each. And we're going to take Brzezinski here. He is the captain. He's the leader of a crew. And he's going to take some men up through this airlock here into the shuttle lock. And now we're still kind of now in the airlock between our own ship and the USS Feynman ship. And we're going to bring up another crew behind him, that among which is our hacker, and our hacker is Robertson. Yeah, so Robertson is here, and we want really to have Robertson down in the command pod to try to hack that computer. And then we got some backup, we got some pilots, we got some mechanics, we got the mech, just, to patch our weapons up or our suits up or whatever if something should go wrong. I'm sure it's fine. The only thing is that when we open this airlock now, there's going to be 0 gravity. So we're going to be moving at a real slow pace. So let's do this. We are now moving down here. So basically the first thing that happens is that time passes as we leave our shuttle. There is, with 12 minutes left minimum before we hit the atmosphere. We don't know exactly when it hit the atmosphere, but somewhere between 12 and 20 minutes, maybe a little less, it's going to hit the atmosphere. So right now, we're going to go out and we're going to deploy into this hallway to see what's going on. And just to be a little bit careful, we're just going to take Brzezinski and Eastwood. Eastwood, he's tough, and he's got a plasma gun. And so if there's any trouble out here, I'm sure that Brzezinski and Eastwood are going to be able to take care of it. So we're gonna move them there, and then we're gonna keep Yi, the mechanic, and Sarma, the pilot, on hold. There are various reasons you want some of those specialists to be alive. Like a mechanic can help you clear jams better, and a pilot is really nice if we want to fly back. Our own shuttle does have an autopilot, but if we need any of the other shuttles, we'll kind of need a pilot for that. But again, it depends on what happens with the crew. So we've stepped out here into the hallway, and time has passed. And now we're going to check to see if anything happens out here in the hallway. I'm sure not. So I'm just going to blindly draw 3 pieces and see. Anyone? It's dead quiet. It's dead quiet. Oh my goodness. Do you see this? Do you see what I'm seeing? 3 weird alien-looking creatures. Oh my God. I'm beginning to understand that something must have gone very badly wrong on this lab ship. Dark hallways and derelict spaceships are usually fine. Absolutely. That was my intention until I drew this thing. So basically, this hallway is crawling with extraterrestrial life. And we just got to see where all that life positions itself. So we have one alien creature down there. We have another one that just drops right down from the ceiling, lands on the head of the captain just as he steps out of the airlock. And then we have another one who is coming all the way from up here. So this is like really, really bad news because we're surrounded from all sides and one just dropped on us. And what we have to do now is we have to check if we're surprised. And if we're surprised, they're going to get one action, all of them, before we can do anything. And unfortunately, since we're being ambushed and since we also haven't encountered any aliens before, meaning that we aren't really prepared for them, there's very little chance that we're not surprised. Actually, it's only on a 1 that we are not surprised. And there it is, a 2. So what happens is that this alien drops down on Brzezinski and it just whips out one of its big claws and just hits it right across the chest of him. And it's a 5. He immediately, he is basically just ripped into, his body's thrown up against the wall, and immediately Eastwood, who's just standing there with his plasma gun, he has to check if he goes into a panic. And he is tough though, so he's pretty good at keeping his cool, but he's also alone. There's also aliens around. So on a 4 or more, he's going to keep his cool. And he does not keep his cool. So our captain is dead, and Eastwood is panicked. What a start. We are playing Last Frontier, the Vesuvius incident. We've been playing for less than 5 minutes. We got the first casualty. Our guy with the plasma gun has panicked, and that was only one of the aliens. Now comes the second one. So I got to remember to make sure that we track Mr. Brzezinski. He is over here. He is now killed in action. And when you die in this game, all your equipment is destroyed. So there you go. All right. The other people in the shuttle, they just hear loud noises and screams on the other side of the airlock door. And there is that kind of hissing sound of some kind of acidy fluid that seems to be just hissing on the surface of the airlock door. Eastwood is alone. And right here, from the direction of the command pod, another alien comes jumping. It jumps right at him and it attacks him. He's panicked and just need to see if I can throw my dice a little. And he's just standing there, frozen, seeing this other alien come at him, and it just jumps and basically just rips his head off in one foul sweep. Eastwood is dead. And there are 2 aliens hovering right outside the airlock door. Oh my God. What a start to this game. So the worst thing about losing Eastwood actually is that, I mean, of course, he was a fine man. He has a family, and we will mourn him. But he also had a plasma gun. So now we only got one Marine left with a plasma gun, and that is Mendes. Yeah, sort of, and that was fast. I just stepped out the door, I got my head ripped off by 2 aliens. A supremely difficult start here. And it's not going to get a lot easier because, I mean, I almost feel like just getting back in the shuttle and flying back to the ship saying, look, I mean, 2 of our best Marines, including our captain, was just killed. So I don't think that, I can't imagine that any crew members aboard this ship will be alive. But, you know, for the sake of all you guys who tuned in and who are watching, I'm not going to flee just yet. But another alien is going to come running down here, and it runs all the way, like jumping from wall to wall in this weird 0G environment, and they're just hovering right outside the airlock door, waiting for us to do something. Okay, that was bad. So what happens now is that because we're in action mode, we go into a combat turn. So we flip this marker, and now it says combat, which means that now everything is bullet time. So now I can't like just freely move around. People now, they stand where they stand, and they can only act from where they are. And this makes things difficult. I mean, I had really hoped that Eastwood would have survived, because even though he was in a panic mode, that would have given an opportunity to just like blindly fire his gun until it broke, and perhaps take some aliens down with him, but he didn't. And I can see here in my setup that Mendes, our other guy with the plasma gun, he's actually right here at the back of the ship. So in 0G environment, he's not going to be able to make it out there. And who really wants to step out here? Okay. We can, of course, I don't think there's any way. Okay. I think Mendes, can Mendes even make it? I don't think Mendes can make it. I don't know how to go about this, because I have Yi and Sarma, they have each a rifle and a gun. They could go out just blind firing and double shoot both of them, which allows them to just blow more bullets. But if they don't hit, yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. But I don't actually see what else I can do at this point. So Yi, the machinist, he is just heard, not even seen, his captain and Eastwood, I mean the tough plasma gunner, just get ripped to shred. So he is full of fury, and he opens the airlock and he steps out with his rifle, and he just shoots left and right. Go. All right. Just a bit of stuff. And that's taken care of. Great. So Yi, he steps out with his rifle, and he's facing 3 of them aliens face on. So he's got to shoot, and he's at a 3, he's moving, he's at a 5, he's double firing, he's at a 7. He basically needs a 9 to hit any of those guys, but he may depend on other rules as well. So the first one is a 9. He actually hits with his rifle, and he takes one of them down. One of them goes down. We don't know if it's dead or not. It's just slumped against the wall, maybe twitching a little bit. Is it dying or is it recovering? Find out shortly. And he shoots again. This time he just needs an 8 because there's one less alien there. And again he hits. So Yi is already turning into a hero. But unfortunately, his shot, I mean, it doesn't even graze that alien in front of him. He just shoots at it, and the bullet just like ricochets off the tough skin of this alien, and he's facing two of them. So there's no other way but for Sarma to step out here as well and do the same thing, just load up his rifle and just double shoot. This could be tricky, and perhaps we'll see why, but let's see what happens first. So it's 3, it's a 5, it's a 7, it's a 9 to hit, and he aims for one of the aliens. And he actually hits, which is great. And again, his bullet just grazes off of it, as if these aliens have like horrible tough skin, and normal bullets don't always go in. So this is really bad news. But he's going to try again. This time, he unfortunately does not hit. So we'll see if he hit anything else. And he does actually hit another. No, sorry. He actually hits Yi. So yeah, this is very unfortunate. So Sarma, he's just shooting, and his bullets just ricocheting off this alien, and he turns around completely dumbfounded by what is happening, and another bullet goes off and hits his friend Yi. And Yi is immediately down by the shot. So Yi, he's also just thrown up against the wall, and he's just lolling. He's just sitting there, just staring wide in the face, and his whole suit has been ripped open, and so his suit is compromised. So should we have a decompression event or something, then it doesn't look good for him. He's just sitting there, and Sarma, he has just shot his own friend. So we have to see if he goes into some kind of panic mode, and he does, of course. So Sarma is now panicked, surrounded by two aliens, his dying friend, and the two body of the captain and the plasma gunner. Who are these incompetent Marines? Swordbender asked. A good question. Were they just sent as alien fodder? Well, I'm beginning to suspect that there might be some conspiracy behind all this. But, you know, this is such a horrible start to this game. I was kind of thinking that I would show off a few moves, and then maybe the aliens would come and you could have a good battle, but I can't even get out of my shuttle without getting ripped to shreds. So we have 2 killed. We have... Oh, jeez. So, I mean, what we have to do... The problem with the airlock is that we cannot open both sides of the airlock in the same turn, because that doesn't work like that. So all we can do is basically send one group in. So I think we'll have this group open the doors. We don't want to send our hacker out there, but we are going to send the plasma gunner forward, hoping that he'll be able to do some serious damage next turn. But I think that... I mean, I don't know how Sarma he's gonna survive this this next turn. The first step is always the hardest. That is true. It is very, very true. So it is the alien's turn. The first thing we're gonna do is to see this alien that was down, that is slumped against the wall. How is it actually doing? Luckily, it reaches up an arm, and then it twitches, and it just falls back down, slides down the wall, leaving this weirdly oozing acidic trace on the wall. And it is dead. So let's see, should we perhaps make a little dead pool here so we can count? I mean, there shouldn't really be more dead Marines than aliens, but that's what we're looking at right now. So we got Eastwood and Brzezinski over here, and we got one dead alien. So that was the good news. Now, there is also a chance, because Sarma is alone right now with 2 aliens, that they may simply abduct him. So on a roll of 1, he'll be abducted. Luckily, he was not abducted. So he's still there, and the aliens, they just pound on him. So the first alien takes his claws and tries to just rip open his suit. And this is so bad. Yeah, he just stands there, pale white in his face, and just watches as this alien just guts him, pulls out his entrails. There you go. So that was also, unfortunately, Sarma dead. We've lost 3, maybe 4 men already. I don't know how we're going to get back from this in any meaningful way. I think the one thing that we can do, and that we may have to do, is just, I know that the captain, he died, and Yi and Sarma, they just stepped out with righteous fury and just tried to gun down the aliens, but there's just more screams out there. We don't know what's out there. So I think Mendes, he steps up and he just says, like, hold it. Just don't open the airlock. Just wait. And what that means, basically, is that as we stand there and just wait for a minute or a minute and a half, everything quiets down out in the corridor. And the aliens disappear, and they take Yi with them. We don't know if he's dead or he's alive, but he's no longer there. Kind of wish for him that he's dead. Just don't. So, as I was saying, we are playing Last Frontier, the Vesuvius incident, and things are not going too well. We have boarded the lab ship, we have tried to enter it, and we basically have 3 men down and 1 abducted by some weird, horrific creatures that we've never seen before. And I mean, I can't see what we're even trying to do. I think what we need to do is just try to go in there, and maybe if we can get to some of those computers and download some of the data and just bring it back so someone can go through the data and find out what's happened. I'm not seeing us finding any live crew members in here, or it's just carnage. And already the hallway out there is just smeared with blood and acid. It's really horrible. But we stand there and we just wait for all the noise to die down, and the ship just slowly, silently in space moves closer, ever closer toward the atmosphere. There is 8 minutes left, 10 minutes left, and then we hit the atmosphere. So we can't wait behind this door forever. We have to go out again. And this time, we're sending Mendes and Dubois out, and we're also going to take, I think, a couple of other guys. Hernandez, not Robertson, but probably Hernandez and Calvisto, mechanic and a pilot, and just put them here as backup. Yeah. Okay. Not only are we getting slaughtered, but we're also on a timer. What is this game? Yeah, it's one of those games. It's as I said, it's from '93, and it harks back to an even earlier era where games were not really meant to be fair. They were meant to be extremely punishing, and that was part of the fun. And yeah, I'm very much on that. I'm not a big fan of balanced games, fairness, and all that. I kind of like things to be skewered. So we are stepping out into the hallway again, and we will have to see whatever is awaiting us out there. Let's hope this time that those aliens, they have really retreated back into the air duct system and are not hanging around us anymore. Let's see. There is no alien. So basically, none of what I just drew happens. It just goes back here in the pool, and we're just out. It's just quiet. There is nothing except the traces of blood and acid everywhere. So this was very good, because now we are one step further in, and we can change over from a bullet time phase and back into and continue basically in this exploration phase, which gives us a chance to set up our crew a little better. So this is basically what we should have been doing when the game started, but we just had the most insanely brutal start to the game. So we're only basically at square one right now. We don't have a lot of men, but we're going to try to set this up. So we want Henderson, the hacker, down here by the command pod. And we're going to take Hernandez because he's tough. So he's going to go with him in case anything goes wrong. Not to think that anything is going to go wrong at this point. Then we're going to take Mendes and Dubois going up here to the other part of the hallway. Basically, every time we go through a door, we have to check if anything happens. So when we are in these sort of long cinematic turns, we set up our pieces as we want within the area that we have explored. And then when we go through a door, then we check to see what happens. The problem, however, is that if you don't leave people behind, what you had explored previously, you have to re-explore because aliens are, they're crawling around everywhere. So you may still be ambushed in an area that you thought you had cleared of aliens. But right now, we're going to set it up like this, and we're also going to go check out that transport shuttle. I think maybe if they are any sort of brains among these crew, they will have hidden in the transport shuttle. Perhaps they just need a pilot, basically, to take it away. Perhaps the person who was able to fly that transport shuttle, he accidentally died. So I think I want to take a pilot in there to the transport shuttle in case we need to make an emergency escape. We have a medic, but I don't know, it's like, when will the medic ever have time to heal a wound in this game? I'm not sure. So Lichter, he is going to take all of the pilot with him towards the transport shuttle. And Kiyoshi, the medic, and Calvisto, the mechanic, they're going to hold the fort out here in the main hallway. So they're just basically going to make sure by keeping guard in this hallway that nothing happens while the other rooms are explored, because otherwise when we go back into the hallway, we have again to check for ambushes, and we really don't want to do that. So while things are quiet here at the space station, let's have a glass of wine. Cheers. I hope that you're able to follow along out there, at least, the overall story of what is happening, all the little nitty-gritty mechanics and bullets flying and things happening. There's a lot to track here. It's not really a very easy game. The rules do not do like a great job of explaining everything, and there's some pretty good fan-made rule breaks down that I definitely recommend getting if you're trying to get hold of this game and play it. But it is playable. You just need to spend a few evenings with the rules before you get them down. So Swordvender asks, what was the mission before it went south? Well, the mission is basically to survey the ship to find out what's happening. We know nothing. What we've established so far is that we know that it's a lab ship. We haven't found any signs of the crew so far, but we know that it's crawling with these weird, very aggressive, very dangerous creatures with scaly skin that sometimes a bullet can't even pierce. So at this point, I think it's just about retrieving any data that we can find that can help, the second team of Marines who come in here to find out what to do. And, I'd probably just suggest blowing this whole ship to smithereens. But as you know, in the world of space narrative, there is always some corp that's very interested in finding out what this extraterrestrial life form really is. And in fact, they're so interested that, if you'll allow me a little aside, there is another game called The Artifact that came out a little after this game. And it's a game that basically more or less takes 4 instances of this game and put them together into one big mega game played by 4 different groups. And the groups are sitting in their own rooms. They don't know what the other groups are doing. And someone are playing scientists, someone's playing aliens, someone's playing Marines, and someone is playing, I think, something called the radio or something. And it's this mad big space opera game that utilizes the system of this game, but then turns it into a 4-player RPG hidden everything game. And if anyone knows a little bit about the lore of board gaming, an interesting little fact here is that when this game was first demoed back in the early 90s at a convention in the US, next to the Fat Messiah stand, who were putting out this game, was the stand of Phil Eklund, the notorious and often controversial, but also brilliant board game designer, he makes very, very complicated simulation games. And he was attracted to this game, and so was his son, Matt. So Phil and Matt Eklund, they're actually both playtesters of the Vesuvius incident. And Phil and Matt Eklund are the mad guys who came up with this 4-player blind version of this game called The Artifact, which has also been released. Yeah, and Stegen Deluxe immediately picks up his ears. Phil Eklund alarm. Yes. So this game is not designed by Phil Eklund. It was play-tested by Phil Eklund. And sometimes I feel that I can feel like just like his soft fingerprint somewhere on the game when it goes into really crazy simulation mode, like when you don't hit something and you have to trace the trajectory of the bullet, and depending on what it hits, various effects can occur. So there's a little bit of him there. And I haven't tried The Artifact. I don't know who has played through The Artifact. I have heard rumors that some people actually played this crazy hex encounter space opera game for, I don't know, 4 groups of how many? I don't know how many people play that game, like 10 people or something. It's pure madness, I believe. But yeah, I can see with the level of simulation going on here, while the likes of an Eklund would be attracted to this game. But enough said, let's get back on board. We have a ship that is closing in on the atmosphere in 8 minutes. We may start entering the atmosphere, and the ship may be getting closer to burning up. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to deploy into the new areas that we haven't explored yet. So Mendes and Dubois is going to go through this door here, down the corridor, through the hatch. Lichter and Orlov is going to step into the transport shuttle. And Hernandez and Robertson the hacker are going into the command pod. So let's see how this plays out. So down this end of the ship towards the engine room, what happens there? Anything? Are we getting ambushed, or is everything quiet? Trying to pick, not alien, I can't see. 2 aliens. And, oh, look at this. Can focus. I don't know if it can focus. I'll try again. There you have it. Dead crew. So someone was apparently trying to make it down to the shuttles, but didn't go very far. So, and he's actually right here, right outside our door, is lying. His body is lying slumped up against the door. As we step out, we step over this crew, and immediately an alien drops down from the ceiling, lands on top of us, and another alien is coming running down the corridor towards us. So this is what it looks like. Meanwhile, in the transport shuttle, Lichter and Orlov, they're using their flashlights, sweeping through the rooms, looking for any sight of anything. And they do find something in here in the transport shuttle. Let's see what they... Oh, good. That loud. Oh. Look at this. This is horrible. Oh. Okay. Roll. 1, 2, 3. Out. So, again, in the transport shuttle, we have an alien and a dead crew. So another guy made it all the way into the transport shuttle. And let's say that he's sitting out here in the pilot's chair at the end of the ship, just ready to fly off, perhaps waiting for some other crew members, perhaps not. Perhaps he was waiting for too long and something got in there with him. And we know what got in there with him. And it's actually waiting right above the door. Finished munching on him a while ago, and now it drops right down on the head of Lichter. Bang. So we're being attacked here on both fronts. And, it seems that whatever shuttle was attached over this end of the ship probably someone must have made it out. I mean, there's got to be some kind of shuttle with a distress signal in the area. Unless, of course, which could also have happened, that the computer just sent off the shuttle, or the aliens just send off the shuttle somehow. But let's see, out here in the command pod, which is another detachable unit, if there's anything there. And there's not. We look around, we open, it's just empty. No one is in. A little explored marker to show that we've been here, explored places. So the good news about the command pod being empty is that now we have a bit of quiet to actually start trying to hack the computers and get the crew manifest out, so we can start finding out, like, who are these people on board? How many are there? What have they been up to? What information can we garner on them? But what we have to start with is all the surprises, because down here we have walked right into an ambush, and these aliens, they are going to surprise us on a throw of 4 to 6. They're not going to surprise us. This is really good news. It means that they don't get to act before we get to act. So we got the upper hand in the corridor. How about the cargo bay? The cargo bay is even better because this is not an ambush situation. This is a discovery situation. So even though the alien is right on top of us, it's really only on a roll of 1. Or on a roll of 6 that it'll surprise us. So it does not. Okay, we got this. Now we just have to be smart. We just have to be smart. We can figure this thing out. So we now move into combat bullet time mode again. So everything goes very slow and precise. What I want to start doing is that I want to move Robertson, our hacker, straight over to the computer console. So next turn he can start hacking. Then in here in the cargo bay, we need to kill that alien. And when we step in, Lichter, he just sees it hanging up there, and he knows he's got to protect the pilot all up. So he just takes his rifle and he just double fires at that alien. And that leaves him right now with a 6 or more to hit. And he doesn't hit. Does he hit Olaf? On a 1 to 3, he does. Oh my. They are so panicked, these Marines, right now. They're just shooting left and right. And it's like, I don't know. I think Swordlander may have been right when he asked about, like, what are the training level really of these Marines? Like, is this just a very, very green crew that been sent in either because they thought it was an easy reconnaissance mission or because someone knew what they were going to find in there and they just wanted to see what these horrible creatures had developed into? I think at this stage that we're basically just fodder. Also because we already lost Brzezinski, so we don't really have a captain anymore. I think Mendes is probably the most senior person now, or Hernandez perhaps, but this up here, this is bad. Lichter, he sends a bullet right through Olaf and just, yeah, damn. Olaf takes a bullet, it rips open his spacesuit, he's thrown up against the wall, he's just lying there, just blood oozing out of him. And that was the 2 shots. He didn't even, that was his first shot. And he has he has the second shot. And he needs, again, now he needs a 5 to hit. And he manages to hit, and let's hit that alien bad. It's a 5. This is good news. So what it means is actually that he just finally get his sights trailed on that alien, and he just holds the trigger down while it's up against the wall. He's shooting so many bullets that it's basically just suspended up against the wall for several seconds before he lets up and it slides down the wall. It's dead. Now, the problem, as Lichter is about to find out, with shooting, big assault rifle slugs into an alien at point blank range, is the acid spray from the alien. It's acidic blood, which now just sprays up on Lichter. And what happens is he's basically covered in this yellowish acid slime, and it's just eating its way into his spacesuit, and he's screaming in pain and horror as it just eats its way right through his suit, and he basically passes out unconscious. So we now got 2 passed out Marines in the cargo bay, 1 dead alien hanging down the wall, and I mean, where are we going to go from here? Where are we going to go from? I mean, I'm at a loss here. Did we just lose 6? Or did we just lose half of our team in what? A little over half an hour? It's game over, man, Swordvan. It's game over. But gotta keep at it. So we have an ambush situation down here. And now let's stop firing live rounds, big slugs into this alien. So Mendes is basically just showing Dubois what to do by pulling out his gun and then just double firing his gun straight into the brains of the alien, trying to contain this acidic spray from it. Luke says it's less dying while fighting and more fighting by dying. Yeah, that's very true. This is it's really kind of a simulation of interesting cinematic ways to die. It is kind of just a death engine, and then there is you get to throw some dice and keep your hopes up a little bit, and you may be able to push back a little bit, but ultimately this is just going nowhere. This is dead people all over the place. I actually think I want to mark where people died so we can get a bit of flavor here. And yeah, I think I'm going to use these. Perhaps can I use these built-in action markers. Out. We got 3 guys dead there. Those 2 we don't know, and 1 guy got abducted. So we're pulling out our gun, or Mendes is pulling out his gun, and he's firing. It's at point blank range. He's double firing. He needs a 6 to hit. Shouldn't be that difficult. He hits. Come on, Mendes, show the way here. Come on. And it's enough. He downs the alien. It's brilliant. The alien is down. It's not dead, but it just means that it's not going to wake up, this turn. We'll have to see about next turn next time. But that was really only 1 shot. So he also just extends his arm and just fires a shot straight down the hallway towards this alien. And that is at a range which is this. So it's a 5, it's a 7. He needs a 7 to hit. Come on, Mendes, you can do this. It's exactly a 7. And he downs. Look at this. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we need. We need Mendes. Clearly. I know who promoted Brzezinski to be the captain of this crew. I mean, look at this. Like, he just had no clue what he was doing. Now, Mendes, this battlefield promotion, he's just stepped into character with his tiny little gun. He has just, downed 2 aliens on rapid fire in 1 turn. And Dubois is just standing there taking it all in, just gasping for breath. And Mendes says, "Go down, take it out, take it out." So Dubois, he just steps down 2 spaces here, and he just fires his rifle into that alien lying right there. And since he is in 0G and he moved 2 spaces, he is gonna need a 3, 5. He's just gonna need a 5, right? Yeah, he's gonna need a 5. He just shoots once. It's a 5 with his rifle. Come. Yeah. So Dubois just shoots at the alien, but again, like, the bullets don't go in. And Mendes is like, you gotta hit them like between the ribs. Don't hit the ribs, hit between them. You gotta go into the soft parts with your bullets. Hopefully he will learn. But apparently Mendes is just surrounded by incompetent fools who are now dead or dying. So this is basically, I'm not going to send Colavisto and Kiyoshi into the transport shuttle. They've heard the screams. And, we can't even make it in there before those guys are gone. There's nothing to do. So instead, we go down to the alien turn and we see if those alien, how bad will they actually hit. The first one here was unfortunately just armed a little and just rises back up. And does it get a surprise attack? It luckily does not. It is still 2 wounded, but it rises up before Mendes, towering over him. And again, he'll have to pull out his gun and do something about it next turn. The other alien that Dubois didn't manage to kill, Dubois gets lucky because basically the alien just slumps down and dies. And he just stands there, not really knowing if he did anything to kill it or whether it more or less killed itself. So that was the good news. Then we continue down here into another action turn, and we need to get rid of that nuisance here. We basically just need to hit it 1 more time with our gun, and then it's out. But before we do that, I want Robertson to start hacking away on this crew manifest. Like, he's a superior hacker, and he's in the command pod with very good access to the data. So he basically just needs to throw 2 or more. Does that. So he managed to download the entire crew manifest, which provide information about the crew, and we actually are able to account for the dead crew and the shuttle, the dead crew out there in the hallway, and someone else. So we have now accounted for 3 crew, and we also learn that there is really a total of 15 crew aboard the ship. But that means we still need to account for 12 if we want to account for everyone before we return, which is basically what our mission is at this point. Saying back up from mission control, like, you gotta find the 12 other guys. You can't leave before we know whether they're alive or dead. They may be alive, and we need them. We need their statements. So now the hunt starts for live crew members. Meanwhile, down here at the corridor, Mendes just keeps on firing down at that alien. And it's a 5, and that is enough at this range. It just needs one more hit, and it's a 4, and it goes down again, which means that it's out. There is no acid spray because he used his gun. So the gun is not as efficient. It's more difficult to hit with, but it doesn't kill aliens outright. It basically only knocks them down, but it doesn't cause this acidic spray, as we found out. So that is the way forward. So as we do this, we can finally we can breathe again. Bullet time is over, and this was a movie. We get the little scenes where we see someone sitting up against the wall, all tired, just like fist bombing a little bit, saying, "You're still hanging in there, Kyoshi. You're still hanging in there. What the fuck was that, man? What the fuck was that?" So we got all that cliched dialogue going around the ship. And meanwhile, the 2 people that were knocked down in here, Orlov and Lichter, they're basically just, we just see a shot of them where a tentacle reaches down from an air duct, just pulls them in. There is this clattering sound as their spacesuits are being dragged down through the ventilation system. So maybe see him again later. They are now in the mix. So what do we want to do? Well, we go into an exploration phase, and again, we need to reposition a little bit. The problem here is that we cannot hold on to these hallways for long. Swordvander says, insert generic Space Marine bravado here. Exactly. This is exactly what happens. I couldn't come up with any good dialogue just now, but if you have any, this is the time to type it. So we are gonna definitely just move further down the hallway, and all of us have to clear that hallway. I want to find out what's happening in engineering. I want to send Mendes in because he's our top guy right now. I don't know. I mean, Dubois wasn't very effective, but I think I hope that Dubois does learn something. At least now he's seen battle, so perhaps he's going to be able to face whatever might be in there. And then I think with everything going as it is and the timer running out, what I'll be trying to do is that I'll be trying to get Robertson or Hager down into the ring. Also in the ring, there is actually gravity, which makes it easier to move around. And then try to get him into the computer room and see if he can download the whole big RAM dump and perhaps find all the information that we need, short of finding any live crew members anywhere. So I'm going to queue them all up for a trip down the elevator. Yeah, but the thing is, we also need someone to hold the hallway. We also need someone to hold engineering. So maybe, maybe Robertson goes down with Hernandez. So the hacker goes down with Hernandez, his tough protector. And we keep Kiyoshi and Colavisto up here as backup so we don't get overrun. And then Hernandez and Robertson, they're just going to have to fend for themselves. And now there is a total here of the ship in space getting ever closer to the atmosphere. 6 minutes. 6 minutes left. So I'll say this was the first part of the story, the first encounter with the aliens. We have a good idea of, we know how many crew are on board. We have discovered 2 dead bodies. We know there are 15 crew total. Right now we have accounted for 5 crew total. So there are 10 unaccounted. We have a goal. We're going to try to get down to hack the rest of the data. And we're also going to find out if there's anyone here at the back of the ship, and if someone is messing with the drive room, or what's up with the astrophysics labs, any other experiments in there. We're going to find out. But there's a trail of death and destruction. This game just started at 100 miles per hour, and it has left us already 3 people dead, 3 people missing. Before we continue with the game, I was just reminded that this game actually also owes a lot of debt to some of the games that came out in the Ares magazine, which was a magazine series that came out in the early 80s. And there were magazines that also featured games that were inserted into the magazine. And one game in particular, called The Wreck of the BSM Pandora, was a huge inspiration here for Last Frontier. And I don't want to spoil too much, but I'll show you all that here is actually a copy of the Ares magazine, May 1980. And inside is the Wreck of the BSM Pandora game. So, yeah, who knows? This game may end up on your hopeless stream soon. But right now, we are aboard the USS Feynman, and we are trying to find out what really happened. We need more data, and if possible, we need live witnesses who can tell us something. I mean, I'm not sure about the intentions of the corporations that's sending us in here, but I don't know that we have the time or the mental capacity at all to really consider those things. We're just fighting for our lives in here. So as we are getting closer, 6 minutes away from entering the atmosphere, we are gonna deploy into the engineering room, and we're also gonna take the lift down to the ring that circles this part of the ship right here, and which is shown on the map in these 2 lines, which really connect as one big line, as I explained at the beginning. So Mendes and Dubois, they're going to go into the engineering room, just like flashlights going across the room, checking for any life. And Hernandez and Robertson, they're going to take the lift down and deploy down here, drop through the ceiling, and land here in the corridor. So they're now up here in the ring. And Calavisto and Kiyoshi, they're gonna, keep this area out here between the lift and the engineering locked down, so we don't get any intruders. But at the same time, they're also ready to just go in and help in engineering if something happens. Let's start down in ring 2. So Hernandez and Robertson, they just drop into the corridor. They look around. What do they see? I don't know if you can follow on screen what I'm accidentally picking out of the pot here. I can't see myself, but you may shout yes or no. Grab onto a piece. See? Oh. Okay. So let's see. What is this? This is basically a lot of stuff. But do that stuff even show up at this point because this is an ambush thing. So no, don't. So there is one alien. We drop down through the hatch, and just as we drop down, out from almost under the panels slits this reddish skin creature. And does it surprise us? It does so on a 1, 2, 4 to 6. It surprises. So it just latches one of its tentacles and it grabs hold of, oh no, Robertson, our hacker, the one guy who just cannot die because we need him. And then it just starts pulling his leg. And luckily, very, very luckily, Robertson is able to somehow pull his leg back from that slippery grasp of that tentacle. Just step away, staring at this horrific creature. Meanwhile, in engineering, cutscene. Look around, flashlights blistering across the room. There's something in there. What is it? Discover. Oh, no. I hope they discovered something great. But they discovered just two. This ship is infested. Why am I only pulling aliens out of this bag? There's so much other stuff in there. But I'm just pulling aliens. I can't. Yeah, and one of them is, of course, right on top of them. And the other one is basically sitting over here, like just wrapped around the big console, computer console. I don't know what it's doing there. Perhaps those aliens are actually smarter than one should think. Perhaps it is interacting with the computers, which again makes me a little bit worried because this shuttle that's missing, who was on board this shuttle? I thought it might be some crew who escaped, but we see dead crew all the way down towards the shuttle. So could some aliens already have escaped the ship? We need to relay this information. We need to find out who sent. We need to hack the main computer and get that data down. Luckily, Robertson was not grabbed by that alien, but we need to get there. But I don't know how, because first we have to deal with this. And do they surprise us? Well, they only surprise us on a 1. They do not surprise us. So that is great news. Thank you. So, what to do? Well, in here, Mendes has already shown the way. So he just pulls out his gun again, his little stun gun, and he just goes straight for the head of the alien. Does a double shot, which is a 6 to hit. He's got a hit, and he hits. Of course, it's Mendes. Why did they ask? Whoa. And it's a 5. He immediately downs the alien. Look, these guys, I mean, he knows how to deal with them, and he does like before. He just turns around, aims at that alien at the console, and he shoots. And this time, he is really trying not to hit the computer. Let him not hit the computer. He's really aiming for that alien, and he needs to hit it. And it's a -2 and basis, so it is a 7 he needs to hit. And he does it. He hits. Look at this. Like Mendes. Can I get a medal, Mendes? Yeah, okay. But unfortunately, that was a little bit more than he could handle. So his bullet just grazes the skin of the alien. Nothing happens. But Dubois, he kind of mini panics and just open rifle fire straight at that alien. He's going to double shoot it. And he is going to hit at a 6 or more. Come on, Dubois. First shot hits. And look at that. He's learned. He explodes that alien. Like a huge acidic spray. The computer just disintegrates under the blood of the alien. But no one is hit. Gotta kill. It's great. Meanwhile, down here. Robertson just steps away from having his foot entangled by the alien. He pulls out his gun and he just blasts away at it. He does a double shot at it. It's in panicky mode and he needs a 6 to hit. Of course, he does so. Doesn't do any damage and does it again. And he hits again and again. Finally, the alien's hit goes down. Hernandez turns around to it, whips out his gun, shoots at it, and there it's another hit, and there's no effect. With his second shot, he hits it again, and there you have it. Bam! The alien's gone. So in a super fast 2-second movement, this alien has blown to smithereens right here on the floor. Now Robertson and Hernandez are just standing there. There's no sort of slowly pulse settle to it. Up here, we have to check to see if this alien that Mendes downed, whether it is really down or whether it's still got some fight left. It does have some fight left in it. Rises back up. Just as Mendes, he was turning around to shoot at that other alien at the console. He didn't see this alien just rise up again behind him. Does not get a surprise attack, which means that it's pretty heavily wounded, but still. So let's see, how can we move on from here? We are still in combat mode because the alien is active, which is good in the sense it means that the ship doesn't progress further toward the atmosphere because we're in bullet time. But that's also the only good thing about it, because we move real slowly as combat turns, and we can explore new areas in bullet time, but it's super dangerous. There's bigger chance of getting ambushed and surprised and torn to shreds, basically. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Robertson and Hernandez just move down here outside that hatch and basically just wait, cut back the scene to the engineering and hopefully clear the engineering room so we can return our focus back down there. Here in engineering, Mendes, he knows he just needs to hit that alien one more time and it's down. So he just takes his gun and he double fires it, and he just need that 6 to hit, and it was right there. And I'm sure there. Bam. That is it. Thank you. So yeah, there's a clear pattern here. Like, it's as if we're also starting to learn how the aliens work and how they move. We did brutally lose 6 men in no time at the very beginning, but I do feel some kind of level of stabilization. The problem is we don't have a lot of men to keep all the areas safe, and that's going to be a problem. Because right now, if we send Mendes and Dubois up into the astrophysics lab, we need someone to hold engineering. And if we have someone holding engineering, well, then we can't hold. Well, okay. Since we don't have so many men, we have to take some risks. We don't have time otherwise. So what we're doing now as we enter into another, these longer exploration turns, is that we're going to regroup it a little bit. So we're basically taking Dubois and Mendes right here. This is the hatch that leads up to the astrophysics lab. And then we're going to have Kiyoshi stay behind in the hallway, and going to have Calvisto go in and take engineering. So that means that Kiyoshi and Calvisto, they're going to be in a moment when Mendes and Dubois, go up to the astrophysics lab. Then Calvisto and Kiyoshi are going to keep each of their room. But it's dangerous to be alone. We might get snatched away, but we have to take that risk. And right here, we're also ready to pound into a new corridor. It's really dangerous, this thing now, but we have to do it. So Hernandez and Robertson. No, first, the ship is now just 4 minutes away from possibly beginning to enter the atmosphere. Wow. So, Henderson and Robertson through the door. Henderson is the tough guy. He's the one he's just sworn to defend Robertson, and he just needs to get Robertson in front of a computer so he can download the information that's required. They move through the door. What do they see? At the same time, Mendes and Dubois have to go up and see, is there anyone up here in the astrophysics lab? Is there any information we can gather? Calavistra and Kiyoshi hold down. Okay, guys. Now it gets interesting. Let's see the hallway out here in front of the computer room. Is anything there? I could really do with not having any more aliens lurking around the corridor out there. I look at the draw, I don't know. Let's see. It's just one. It's just one of these geezers. And it is right here in front of us. Bam. We just open the hatch. We move in. Immediately just towers up in front of us. Does it surprise us? Well, on a 4 to 6, it does not surprise us. Perhaps we surprise it. It just stands there. And this is great news. It's one step away, so we can just, rip into it with our rifles without any fear of getting acid sprayed, kill it. It's great. Up in the astrophysics lab, is anything happening up there? There's nothing. Just dead, silent, empty. Where do everyone go? Well, there is a storage closet. But do I want to move into a closet? I don't know. Let's not make any decisions on that right now. First, let's go back into bullet time mode and see what happens over here. Because we got the initiative, and Hernandez, he's going to fire up that rifle, and he will hit on a roll of 3. So he's going to double shoot and just hit on a 5. Still okay. Yes, it's an easy hit. And first shot does nothing. It just passes through the alien and seems not affected. Shoots again, hits again, and this time the alien goes down. Knocked down. Don't know if it's dead. Certainly down. So Robertson, he's going to follow the example of Hernandez. And again, he just double shoots at that alien. And again, he just needs that. He just needs that 5 to hit. There's a hit. And nothing happens. There's a hit. There. Blast. He shoots this alien. Just keeps on shooting at it until there's nothing but just a acidic mess on the floor. There's a hole being burned down the grating. They'll have to step over as they proceed into this room. Meanwhile, I think we don't have time to check all the little places, which is a bit of a shame because probably there's a chance that some people are hiding, in the storage room here or in the spacesuit locker, even out in the main airlock, even in the drive room. But we just don't really have time. We need to focus on getting that data and getting it back because it's getting close. So we're going to move into another exploration phase, and we're going to have Hernandez and the hacker move up here to stand outside the door of the computer room. Oh, one thing I need to check. Kiyoshi. Is he still there when we return? On a 1, he isn't. Oh my God. Oh my God. There is just this muffled scream from the corridor. Ah! And Kiyoshi is gone. Maybe we'll see him again, maybe not. Calavisto, he turns around. What the hell was that? Are you seeing this, guys? I just did this twice in a row. Calavisto is snatched. Man. I don't know. It's like someone wanted to make like a 2.5 hour aliens movie, but the producers would only, give them a budget for a 45-minute movie, so they just have to kill off that crew as fast as possible. We just lost. I mean, I said it was risky to split up people, but I didn't think that it would be this risky, and I didn't think that both of them would just disappear. I mean, Mendes and Dubois, they're just calling down through the hatch from the astrophysics labs. It's all clear up here, guys. It's all clear. And there's no answer. There is no answer. Woo! 2 minutes. 2 minutes left before potentially we start entering into the app. Okay. This is it. We gotta do it. We gotta do it now. Hernandez and Robertson kick open the door, step into the computer room. We need that data, and we need Henderson to survive. Robertson to survive. Hernandez and Dubois, they drop down the hatch, which is great in a sense. The problem is, what was it that snatched away Dubois? And is it still here? Let's find out. Okay. Engineering. Oh my goodness. There are two of these guys. In engineering all of a sudden. So yeah, we kind of know what took Dubois away. And one is right here, basically climbing onto the same console where the corpse of the other alien was. It's basically some new organism that is forming within the body of the dead alien, as if it is resurrecting yourself, like a phoenix kind of event. There's just an alien emerging from inside the alien. And the other alien, well, that is sitting over here. And do they surprise us? 4 to 6 they do. They do surprise us. So that means immediately this alien jumps down from the console. They're just standing there looking at this alien birth from the corpse of another alien, completely unable to pass. I'm like, where is Dubois? He was here right before. Kiyoshi. And they open the door, Kiyoshi, but nothing is happening. He's not there. And even Mendes, the coolest guy of them all, the one who really is the veteran here and who knows what's going on, and who, I suspect, might also be the mole in this operation. But let's find out. Even he is not cool-headed enough to do anything about it. So the alien just jumps out at them, and immediately it has found out that Mendes is the one that they need to deal with. So it jumps on Mendes, attacks him. But Mendes is a tough guy, so he just manages to brush it off, push it back just for a second. Then the other alien comes and jumps on him as well. And the other alien, seeing that the first alien is already attached to Mendes, jumps on Dubois and slashes him. And downs Dubois. Dubois goes down. He just falls silent. He's just like leaning against the chair, bleeding, space chute ripped open. Mendes is alone to face this. Cut to the computer room. What's happening? There's something in the computer. What is it? Can we even imagine what it is? I mean, is it something else? I feel like we're at the heart of the ship. Computer room at the heart of the ship. What is it? My goodness. My goodness. First of all, it's completely dark in here. The light is all out. But we see something moving in the corners. There's a shadow moving in the dark. And we just see that flash of the muzzle of a gun. And then we shine our fast light. We say, don't shoot. And there's a crew member sitting there. It's Koch. Koch is sitting right here, hiding in the dark, shivering. He's the first live person we found aboard this ship. They're all dead, he says. They're all dead. They get out of the cages. They're all dead. So, this is great. So we have a live witness. Now we just need to hack this machine. So, as we go into another bullet time mode, we have to make sure to clear out the engine room. But first down here, this situation, I want Hernandez. He's going to be, we have gravity down here. So we move a little faster, which is great. So basically, Koch, he can run all over here to Hernandez and just grabs hold of him and just like shakes him, just trying to explain what it is that he's seen and heard and experienced. He's completely out of his mind. And by the way, he's carrying a pistol. Yeah, that didn't go very well. It is a pistol. And Robertson, he steps over to the console, starts hacking away, while Hernandez protects Koch and keeps a watch on him. Meanwhile, Mendes is alone with two of these terrifying creatures, and there is no more time for Mr. Nice Guy, no more time for little nice stun guns. He takes out his giant plasma gun and he just fires the both of them. Let's see how this goes down. He's gonna do a double shot, and he does need a 6 to hit, but he can do this. Come on, Mendes, come on. Yes, Mendes hits. And it's a 4, which it's just, shot across the middle. It just splinters into 1,000 pieces, but acid is spraying everywhere. But does Mendes even care about acid spray at this point? Does it even harm him? Oops. Yeah, it does. So Mendes just takes like a full load of acid spray on his mask. It just burns right through the glass and into his face. He just like screams and claws at his eyes as he falls back to the ground. And both guys are down. We have this one alien alone with these two unconscious space marines in the engineer. And down here in computer, they just hear radio static on Mendes' channel. Mendes, are you there, Mendes? We found a live witness. We're in the computer room. Robertson is hacking it down now. Mendes? All right. We go back into exploration mode. And that basically means that we're going to wait while Robertson hacks. But while Robertson is sitting in front of the console hacking away, the timer goes down, and we have to flip now this orbit counter to see if we start re-entering the atmosphere, or whether we have a little more time. We are still orbiting. So we were lucky. This is great. We have a little more time. And now Robertson, he starts hacking away at the computer. And since he is a hacker, since he is in the computer room, I need to check what does he actually need to roll in order to hack that computer. So this is important. I'm a little bit proud of myself that this is the first time I'm looking in the rule book, because this is it's pretty nice. I probably also just, made up stuff as I went along and didn't follow, but I think it works pretty well. So the computer room, to hack the mainframe computer. It's only a 5. Well, that's no big deal for a guy like Robertson. That basically means that on anything but a 1, it's so easy. Like, don't they use passwords on this ship? Yeah, there you got it. So Robertson, he basically downloads all the information about all the activities that have taken place in the ship. You can see who has been operating which rooms, who has sent off the shuttle, everything that's gone on. And what he sees is that nothing really makes sense. A lot of the things that have been happening aboard this ship, no human being in their rational mind would do these things. There is someone interfering with these systems. Whatever it is, this alien life form, whether it was developed here, whether it was picked up from somewhere, is clearly able to interfere in an intelligent way with the system. This is horrible. But it does mean that we have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of 15 crew basically accounted for at this point, which is great. What is not so great is that in the meantime, up here, we have another 2 abducted. We now have, I don't know, how many Marines abducted? We have 3 killed in action. And those are the 3. And then we have, we have 2 left. So we must have like 7 people abducted, being, I don't know, experimented on, dragged around, airlock or air ducts. I don't know where they are, but I know that we don't have time to find them. Because what happens now is that, again, time moves and we have to flip. And again, we're actually lucky. We're still in orbit. We're not entered the atmosphere yet. Okay, so now we need to get out of here. And Hernandez tells Koch, the crewman that we found, look, you got to calm down. You have a gun and you got to be prepared to use it. We don't know. We just lost contact to Mendes. We don't know where the other guys are. We don't even have a pilot left, but we do have an autopilot on the Marine shuttle. So if we can just get up here, we can still get away. We can't have you panicking all over the place. We need you to fight. So Hernandez, he just gives him a few good tips how to beat those aliens, like don't assault rifle them when you're in your face because they're going to spray acid on them, and take it cool, be out of here in no time. Don't worry. So they're going to go open the door 1, 2, 3, 4. And down here in the middle corridor. But is there something in the corridor? Are you ready for this important draw? There we got it. Oops. So. Oh, well, I need to look closer at these things. What is this? Oh, goodness. There is some weird situation here. First of all, we see right down here, just coming out of the expeditionary equipment room, is the completely insane Mr. McCrae. He's completely mad. He's wielding some kind of welding torch in his hand, and he's out of his mind. He is not to be trusted. He's just screaming, and the moment that Cock recognizes him, it's like, it's McCrae! It's McCrae! You can't trust him! He went insane! He opened the cages! He opened the cages! And from the other side of the ring, through that hatch, comes an acid sprayer, which really doesn't sound nice. And now we're getting into the nitty gritty of Last Frontiers. I'm going to have to just look up what it means to face an insane crew member and an acid sprayer. Swordman asks, what is our status? How many Marines are left? Well, status is that we have 2 Marines left. They have discovered 2 out of 12 left. So we got 10 down. They have discovered a live crew member in the computer room. So we now have witness. We have also managed to download sort of the main RAM dump, which means that we have all the data that we need to get back to our commanding officers. That is, if we make it off the ship. But everything has gone wrong. Like, we had 4 people being killed the moment we stepped into the ship. We lost 2 more people in the transport shuttle. There was a dead crew member who was sitting there right in the pilot's chair ready to take off when he was gutted by some alien because he hadn't checked the cargo bay where it was properly hiding. We did a pretty routine mission, pretty routine reconnaissance down in the engineering space. There was nothing. I swear there was nothing there. Like, seriously? And we sent 2 guys up into the astrophysics lab to check. There was nothing there. But when they came down in engineering, well, the 2 guys who were guarding Dubois and Kiyoshi, they were just gone. So when we look at this board right now, we got 3 dead bodies, and then we got 7 crew member unaccounted for. And that means that there is a chance that we may see some of those crew members again. But what's happened to them in the meantime, we don't know. So let's just see. I think the insane crew member, does he have a weapon? Or how insane is this guy is the question, right? How insane is this crew member? Let's see. Yeah. That gotta be. There's gotta be something about insane crew members. I mean, any manual that does not have a section, any space game manual without a section on insane crew members should be considered defect. There has to be something in here. Perhaps it is more or less the same as the Cirque, but does he have any weapons, or is he just he's not rational? Okay, that's good. He's not rational. And there it is. He has a gun. He does have a gun. Okay. So let's see if we are surprised by these 2 guys. It is kind of an ambush situation. So on a 4 to 6, we're surprised. We are not surprised, which is great. So I guess that McCrae, he's just left this expedition room and he just went in there and got a gun. He's just standing there, like his lab suit is kind of half open and he's just standing there playing with a gun. And we almost don't notice some weird little creature. It doesn't look like the other creature. It's smaller, but it got these like an octopus. It has these little openings that it can spray acid with. And we need to do something about that. So, luckily, they're at a distance. Hernandez, he just, I think what happens really is that Cock, the crew member, just on seeing McCrae, he just, like, a mix of fear and hatred glosses over his eyes, and he pulls out his gun, just shoots straight at McCrae. So that'll be a double shot, and it'll be a 5, 6, 7 to hit. Let's do it. He hits McCrae, and it's a 3, like human, and McCrae just goes down. He takes a bullet, and McCrae slumps to. So he's out of the way, which is good, because that means that Hernandez can turn around. He can just fire his rifle at the acid sprayer. And that is going to be a 4. It's going to be 4, 5. And is he going to shoot twice? Yeah, he's going to shoot twice. So it's a 6. He almost jammed there. So the bullet just whizzes past the acid sprayer and lodges in the door behind him. He shoots again, and again he misses. Like, Hernandez is losing his cool. This thing is different. That's what's unsettling him. It's too small. It's too fast. He cannot get his aim straight. So now, the last chance is Robertson, Hager. He just lifts and with one precision shot. He's just going to take one shot because he needs to hit and he needs to do damage. So he takes one precision shot. And it's a 4 to hit. You got to be able to do it. Yeah. And Robertson, the hacker, just aims this little creature, and it's just, it's gone. A spray of acid, it's gone. We did it. So, now that crew member is gone. So we're going to go into another exploration phase. What we could do is that we could try to disarm him and basically just subdue him. So that'll be an unarmed attack. How does that even work? Yeah, we can actually do that. Oh, it's super difficult. It is actually super difficult to do that. But I think he may have information. So I think we perhaps have to do that and just stay in combat mode. And I think the others are just going to stay behind. And Cock, he's just like, let him die, let him bleed out. But Hernandez is, no, like, we need him back alive. We need to understand what happened aboard this ship. So he goes to him and he tries to rouse him. So, damn. And he goes and he checks on him. And he feels his pulse. There's no pulse. Cock. No. McCrae is dead. And Cock is relieved, but Hernandez, damn it, Cock, he says to him, like, you didn't have to shoot him through the face. Like, you just shoot him in the legs. You know, like, we needed him. But he's dead. So now what we're basically trying to do now is that we're trying to go back. The civilian is not well, the insane crew member is dead. He was shot by the sane crew member. He was only supposed to, incapacitate him so we could bring him along back, because this McCrae guy, he may be involved in actually starting this whole thing. But unfortunately, Cock was just so afraid of him that he just shot him through the eye, and he was just dead before he had time to blink. So what we need to do now is that we just need to try to continue back to the shuttle. So we're going to move down here, and the ship, again, we're going to take a, Swordman, he is incapacitated, you might say. Well, but he's incapacitated in a way that he'll never speak again. And we really need him to speak, because we need to understand what's going on. Like, so far, what we know is that Cock has told us something about McCrae opening some cages. So whether exactly what happened, but were these creatures, were they bred here or were they picked up from somewhere? This planet that we're circling and that we're about to enter the atmosphere, were they picked up from there? And what is most worrying to me right now is, like, who launched that shuttle that was there, that was missing before we attached to the ship? Who launched it? Who was on it? And with all this erratic data that we're getting from the Ramdom, it seems likely that there was some kind of alien interference in this. So maybe, the idea that we can contain this catastrophe, maybe it's already too late. As we contemplate these things, as we have this little dialogue in the hallway with the first living crew member that we find, again, we have a total shot in space. We see the spaceship just getting closer and closer, closer to the atmosphere, but it is still orbiting by ourselves a little bit of time. Great. So we're going to burst through this door into the hall. Just going to stand there, need to get back up on that lift car. But what is there in the hallway as we start to return? Let's see. Oh my God. So interesting. When we come out, what we're faced with is down at the other end of the hallway, we see an alien which is basically pulling along Yi, crew member who disappeared a while ago. Okay, take my word for it. It's Yi. So we have an alien. Yi is unconscious. He has like weird whitish foam coming out of his mouth. We just see like a small little tentacle retracting from out his throat as the alien turns around to face us. And it immediately just lurches forward down the hallway. And since there's gravity here in the ring, it can run much faster, which means that it can cover all this ground, just jump straight at us. Just going to put it down here on E to indicate that we don't know his state yet, but maybe he's still alive. Maybe he's still alive. And if he's alive, I'm sure there's nothing wrong with him. I'm sure he's safe to take back on board the space shuttle. So, the alien jumps at us. Let's see who it attacks first. It goes for Robertson. It goes for the hacker. It just jumps on him, and it takes his claw and it just rips his face off. Just like that. Robertson is immediately killed. We need to put here, and we take Robertson. So, Robertson, he did his duty. He hacked both of the computers. He got all the data. And as in any good movie, he is now an expendable, right? Like he has nothing more to do here. So he has his face completely ripped off right in front of the others, which mean that they each have to take a panic roll. First, the crew member, and since he's just human, he's a little bit more liable to panic, and indeed, he does panic. This may be bad news for us, because panicking with a gun is not good. And Hernandez, he is tough on the other hand. He's seen something. So he actually only panics on a 1. He does not panic. This is good. But it's a problem that the panic, as you'll see in a minute. So, or maybe it's good. Maybe it's actually good. Maybe something can come up. So what happens now is that the turn is over on our side again. And because we have a panicking crew member, what he does is he just empties 3 shots into the alien and then his gun auto jams. So make these 3 bullets count. Do it for Robertson. Do it for Robertson. He hits on a 6. He does not hit. Does he hit Hernandez? Okay. Okay. Give me strength. Oh, Lord, give me strength. So the alien just jumped on Robertson, tore his face off, and Cock, the crew member, he just panics, and he just like wildly firing his gun left and right, and he actually hits. He hits Hernandez, the only Marine that we know is left alive, and are we lucky? It's a 2. Oh my goodness, we're lucky. Nothing happens. It just whistles right past Hernandez. And you can just see the panic in Cock's eyes, but he just keeps on firing as if his finger is just moving on its own. And this time he hits the alien, and this time he downs the alien. There you go. Takes one, and he just shoots again. Click, 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 keep shooting, but the alien is just down, and his gun is now jammed. So it's going to jam the gun. As you can see, a little bit fiddly, but it's okay because the game is also kind of loose, except when you're in these tight combat situations, but it's actually all right. I enjoy it. So what happens now is that we have to see if that alien is really down or not. On a 5 or 6, it has survived. It did not survive. The alien is dead. It's another bit of good news for us. And it also means that he can stop panicking because the alien is dead. And we're moving into another exploration turn. Cock's gun is now jammed. We got Hernandez left as the only live crew member. He, of course, immediately runs down to Yi to try to find out, hey, Yi, is he still alive? Is he breathing? He is. Yi is breathing. Yi is alive. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. We have one. Have a live member. Need to take him back. But the problem is that we're pressed for time, and we need 2 people to carry. And we're not going to be able to do that fast while we're carrying heavily wounded crew. So he's barely conscious. He cannot walk on his own. We really have to carry him. And when we carry him, we are, moving at a maximum of. Let's just check that because it could be important how fast we move carrying a comrade. Oh yeah, we don't fire with the same level of precision, and we move at the heavy human rate. Okay, so we can move 3 spaces if we're 2 who carry him, which basically means that right now it's enough for us to actually get into the lift, which is great. So we enter the lift and we start moving back up to the main ship. And as we do that, the ship gets closer and closer. And there, bang, guys. Come on, please focus. Am I stressing you? Sure. Well, it seems that my camera is a little bit tired of focusing. Anyway, this is the re-entry marker. That means that re-entry has now begun. So the rest of the game will take place in combat mode. So there are no easy turns anymore. And we start down here, and for every turn, we're going to move closer and closer and closer to the atmosphere. And in a few turns, there is a possibility that the whole ship just burns up. So this is where we are. We're in the lift. We're on our way back up to the mothership. And we can already sort of feel the first, sparks and flames and smoke coming out as the ship starts to shake and bits and pieces are torn off and whirled into space. What has happened so far is that we attached our marine shuttle to this lab ship that was drifting around space, and there was no communication with the ship. And we attached ourselves down here to the ship. And the moment that we just went into the main corridor of the main ship, we just lost basically 3 men in just a few seconds. And another man was just pulled away. And since then, it has been an uphill battle to do anything. There is dead crew members everywhere. There are dead Marines everywhere. We have had like 7 people abducted. We just rediscovered one of them down here in this area, in the ring area. He must have been dragged through air ducts down there. And there was an alien who had its weird proboscis down his throat. But I'm sure he's fine. I mean, he's still breathing. And we are carrying him right now. We've taken him into the lift. And we're trying to get back and leave the ship via our shuttle here. But at the same time, the ship has started to enter into the atmosphere. So bits and pieces of it are already starting to burn and being basically just, ripped off its side, and there are bits and pieces of metal flying off into space. Everything is shaking right now. We're in a lift, and the whole lift is shaking, and we're just slowly going up. And we are in constant bullet time now, and we're carrying an unconscious crew member, so we cannot move that fast. And it's only Hernandez who is tough. And he's basically the guy who's been leading. He's been doing all the things that make sense in this mission. He has been herding the hacker around, and the hacker, he actually managed to download the crude manifest. He managed to get the information from the main computer, but the moment that he's gotten all that, he was ripped apart by an alien that attached to his face. So this is all we got. It's Hernandez. It's a crew member whose weapon is jammed because he panicked and he just overfired. And we're just trying to get back to the shuttle now, and let's see how it goes. Fingers fucking crossed. Because what happens now is that we enter out back into this hallway. And as we get out there, we have, let me just see, the atmosphere. Yeah, okay. So first we have an ambush event. Let's see what happens. So we are back up in the lift. The last thing we know about this area was that Kiyoshi, our medic, he was standing here guarding the area, and he just disappeared like that, out of the blue. There's no trace of him, there's no blood, there's nothing. He was just gone. So, is anything here now? Nothing. Nothing is here. It's just empty. This is really good news for us. This was very, very lucky. So, time moves, the ship moves closer to the atmosphere, everything is still shaking. We're dragging our crew member 1, 2, 3 spaces down the hallway. The ship goes closer down to the atmosphere. 1, 2, we open a door. 3, we go through. And again, as we enter, a new passive hallway. We are passing this dead crew who's lying in the corridor, and Cock, our live crew member, our one witness that we really need to survive, he just looks at this guy and says, oh my God, it's Samuel, it's Samuel. His face has been ripped off, and he's just completely splattered out over the hallway. And as we enter here the hallway before our shuttle, this is the last piece of hallway before we are back in the Marine shuttle. And I'm pretty sure that everything is going to be rosy here. There's going to be no trouble, right? There is indeed a little bit of trouble. So, what happens? Well, right in front of us, an alien drops down. It's as if the entire experience of being aboard the ship, all the multitude of crawling little creepers, everything boils down to this one moment. It is Hernandez with his unconscious comrade over his shoulder and the one live witness he has to protect with a jam gun, facing this one last obstacle before they are back at the shuttle. This is it. It's the final stand. It's the final combat. We gotta survive. What happens? Will the alien surprise attackers? Let's find out. On a roll of 4, 2, 6. Oh, and we're in a combat turn. On anything but a 1, it surprises us. And it's a 2. It immediately jumps at us. And the interesting question now, does it go for a Cock or Hernandez? And it goes for Hernandez. Again, it shows the intelligence of the alien. They know who the dangerous guy is. So it immediately jumps Hernandez and attacks him with its claws. It's a 5. It rips his face off and sucks out the marrow from his bone. It just throws him aside like an old piece of cloth. He's thrown down the corridor. Hernandez is dead. So, where is Hernandez? He's here. Hernandez is dead. His body is flung down the corridor. He's lying here. And now we have an almost impossible situation because we basically have Cock, the one surviving crew member, with a jammed gun, carrying Yi, this dead or dying Marine. So what are we gonna do? Well, first the ship moves closer to the atmosphere. And now we have decisions to make, guys. So, Cock, he can try to clear the jam on his weapon. But if he does that, the alien is going to attack him before he can clear it. Or even if he managed to clear it, the alien will still attack him before he can shoot back. He can try to drag Yi with him. But since he's carrying Yi alone, he can only move 1 space every turn, which means it's a complete massacre. So then he can try with his bare hands to do something to that alien. Let me just check my tables and see if that's even a possibility. Okay, he can get extremely lucky and he can roll a 6. And that would actually have him able to at least punch the alien out for 1 turn. But I think perhaps what's happening here, that this story is changing and the protagonist used to be the Space Marines, but it turns out the protagonist is now this one surviving crew member. And he just dumps off the unconscious Yi, who is probably, I mean, let's be honest, infected with some kind of alien eggs. And then he makes a run for it. And let's see how fast he can run. Oh my God, we're in 0G conditions. He can still run 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can get to just outside the airlock. The only problem is, though, that as he turns As he drops Yi down on the floor and as he turns and he starts running, the alien lashes out of him one last time from behind. And are you seeing what I'm seeing? Seriously, guys? This is epic. So the alien just barely misses Cock. He drops his gun, he drops Yi, and he runs. Oh, he's not carrying the lift car. And he runs down the hallway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just like running through 0G, just like, grabbing hold of whatever little knobs are in the walls to pull himself forward. And the alien is right behind him. One step closer to the atmosphere, the alien starts moving. And the alien can jog at a distance. Oh my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can just reach him. So it runs up. He's standing there. Cock, he's pushing the button for the airlock. Open, 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 open. And the alien jumps at him. 2. It's a light wound. So it basically its claw, it's from behind. It makes these its claws just running across his back, like this 3 open bloody flesh wounds across his back. But he still is able to open the door and get into the ship airlock and shut it behind him. And he's sitting there, bleeding profusely. The ship starts entering the atmosphere. On a roll of 2, it burns up. But it's an 8. So everything is shaking. There's fires breaking out everywhere. Alarms are blaring. There's lights all over the ship. This alien just tearing at the doors. And he's running into the shuttle. But he's also wounded. He cannot move very fast right now. And he needs to get into the pilot's seat. And he needs to activate the ship. So he is down to moving. Oh no. Well, he is down to moving 3, and those cost 2, so that he moves 1 space at a time. Oh no. So he's moving into the shuttle. The ship is breaking apart. Again, the ship penetrates deeper into the atmosphere. On a roll of 2, nothing happens. He climbs down. He's trying to make his way through the shuttle. It's completely empty. Everything is blaring. There are communication signals going on, calling up from the Space Marines motherships like, detach the ship, get back now. It moves closer into the atmosphere. On a roll of 2 or 3, nothing happens. And again, he fights his way down the ship. He looks out one of the windows and he can just see part of the ring just burning up and falling away. Just gigantic debris hurling through space. And again, the ship moves closer. On a 2, 3, or 4, it burns up. It's a 6. He makes it one final step down into the end. He's ready. He straps into the pilot's seat. He's bleeding profusely. The alien is tearing through the airway. It's gotten through the first airlock. It's now almost at the ship. And again, the ship moves closer. On a roll of 2, 3, 4, 5. The ship will burn up in the atmosphere. This is it, guys. This is it. 2, 3, 4, 5. The ship burns up. Otherwise, Cock hits the eject button. No! 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 This was so close. As he's strapped into the seat, he hits the autopilot button. Just get me home. He hits the big red home button, and the whole ship just burst into flames, splintered into 1,000 pieces. And we just have this one last shot of Cox's weird wax-like corpse just like hurling through space, just rotating with a blank stare in his eyes, just going out further, further, and further, and further. And back at the main ship, we lost them. We lost them. They didn't make it, man. We lost them. They just see the whole lab ship just burning up in the atmosphere, exploding everywhere. And as they sit down and start looking through all this data that was sent back from the ship, they discover that this one shuttle that is missing from the ship, it has been sent off in the direction of the solar system of the Earth. It's being sent back towards the direction of Earth. And we don't know what's aboard this ship. Is it crew members who got off the ship in time before everyone was killed? Or is there an alien aboard on its way back to Earth? This is where Last Frontier, the Vesuvius incident, ends and a new game begins, which hasn't really been made, so I cannot really play it. But it's also more interesting, I think, to just leave the story hanging there instead of playing it out. So yeah, oh my God, I need a drink. I hope that this showed some of this game, some of what this game can actually do. Yes, it's fiddly. There's a lot of little rules. There's, all sorts of nonsense about this game. But once you get it down and once you just get comfortable enough to also just wing it, I mean, I made probably several mistakes in the playthrough. There's some of them I know that I made, but I just made them because I thought that it would fit the scenes better. But yeah, I think it has a lot of cinematic potential, and I really love this way. It's like a harmonica, right? You have these long turns where you can sort of reposition yourself. You can patch up your suits. If someone's harmed, you put a Band-Aid on the wound, and then the moment you get into these action phases, everything goes into bullet time. And you never know what you're going to discover. I mean, there's so many things that we didn't discover. Like, just look at this. Like all this. These are not just aliens. These are not just crew members. These are also just events, crazy things that can happen. Like shuttles can launch. The ring can stop turning. We can find weird video material of things that happen to crew members. There are all these things that can happen in this game. And even though in one way, it's always the same. You enter the ship and something happens and you try to get back out. It seems that every time that I play it, it really delivers a new story. So I think it's a game that really holds up. And if you're looking for sort of an intense, cinematic, solo board game experience and you're not afraid of old Hex Encounter games, I mean, yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I mean, if you're not into fiddliness like I am, go get the second edition where you got nice wooden counters and you can stack pieces without, everything slipping left and right. I think maybe the map has colors instead of just being black and white. Some people may like that. I kind of like the black and white aesthetic. But yeah, I mean, you've seen it if you followed this far. It is what it is. I think it's an amazing game. And again, it's this big. Like it's just like an A5 booklet with some counters and a folded map. And it has so much gameplay. It has so much replay value. It is simulational in a way that it clearly borrows from all the war games that were popular up through the 80s, but it sets it into this sci-fi genre. Clearly, it's related to aliens, but it's not a franchise game. I also really love that, actually. Like, it's not Vasquez or Ripley or someone running around, Gorman, whatever they're called. It's his own unique little story. It's his own unique little universe. And just, consider the story that we actually were able to develop here, right? Like, how epic it was to have that whole shift of protagonist. We expend all these men to get down through the ship to find out what's happened. We find this one sole survivor. He shoots the crazy scientist who may be the one who released everything. And, he makes this really, really tough choice to just drop this dead or dying space marine on the ground when he is being chased down by the alien. And because he probably knows what happens to people who have been abducted by the aliens when they come back. They may look all right, but they are not all right. They are not all right at all. Yeah, Price Crew, I agree. I also really love the black and white art here. I mean, it's of course it's really, it looks like an engineering drawing or something, but it has that hard, cold space aesthetic, and I think it works very well as a background for all these visceral and also very personal interactions in the game. It's one of those games where I really feel like I connect with the characters in the game. We had Mendes. First we had Brzezinski, the captain, he stepped out the door. He was the first casualty. He just stepped out the door and just got it by an alien. And then we had Mendes, who took over, who was really cool, who really managed the situation well, but in the end, he ended up dying, and losing him up in the astrophysics lab was really a blow. So all that was left was Hernandez, who was basically, ferrying Robertson, the hacker, around to get him to do his job. And then when they meet Koch, and Koch suddenly becomes the protagonist, it's brilliant. And I mean, this whole scenario, for example, over here in the transport shuttle, right? It's completely like a random draw. I don't know. There's like 100 counters in this pool or something. You just draw something and see what happens. And here we get like a dead crew member who's sitting in the pilot's chair of the transport shuttle while an alien drops down on the head of the people who just entered and rips them to pieces. And the medic is standing outside. He can hear everything, and he dares not intervene. I mean, these micro stories that the game delivers like that, I really think is genius. And once again, I really have to reiterate how much I love the going between bullet time and sort of longer turn sequences. I think this is something that, I don't know why this did not become a thing. This game is from '93. Why have designers not picked up on this thing? I mean, I guess it means that I have to pick up on it myself. And Hopeless Games have to pick up on it, perhaps. Or Price Crew have to pick up on it. But this idea that there are different modes of playing, that you can stretch time, that time becomes malleable, and that you have a game that when it's in bullet time, the rules are so super precise, and it's like every turn is 2 seconds. And then suddenly everything is good. You're walking down the hallway, you're patching up a wound, you're doing something with the computers, you're entering a lift. It's just brilliant to shift like that. Swordvanska asked, are we doing a second mission? Well, I mean, I don't think I have a second mission in me tonight. I'd love to play it again sometime. I do also know, though, that I love to stream different things. So I think there should be a pretty solid chance that this game will come up in the not too distant future. the wreck of the BSM Pandora, which is one of the inspirations, as I mentioned earlier, for Last Frontier. And just look at the artwork here. Come on, guys. This is insane. I even feel like I want to show you the game board just because it's so awesome. So yeah. So this is the game board of the BSM Pandora, and it looks like a crazy Excel sheet, but just look at those colors. Look at those rounded forms. Look at this whole mad spaceship map over here, and then just imagine the madness that happens when you start just piling little shits onto it, running in all directions, and all kind of madness happens. So yeah, this will definitely happen at some point. So all you guys out there who don't know about this game, it may be difficult to find. I don't know if the reprint may be easier. I think the original edition that I have here can be pretty difficult to find. But you may be able to get a hold of the second edition. And do give it a look. Like, those old fiddly games from the 80s, and again, this is from 93, but it feels so much like an 80s game. It does not feel like a 90s game. They had something to bring to the table, I think. And it's so easy just to pick on them for being too fiddly or too obsessed with simulation or involving too many die rolls and modifiers. But some of them really had genius, and I think this is one of them. So yeah. So I'm completely, gosling over this game, and I probably need to stop myself. But it was such a pleasure playing it with all you guys. Let's just see if there's anything here in chat. Jeden says, so cool. Thank you, Jeden, for being here. And thank you, Price Crew, for being here. Swordvan asks, what was the other game called? Can you show us more? The other game here was the wreck of the BSM Pandora. It's from the Ares magazine. This is a magazine that was published in May 1980. So it's 45 years old. And it's basically a magazine that has like different informations on games. Here's an article about Conan. But each of these magazines, they also had a game in them. And there are various different games. And there are at least 2 sci-fi games. There are more. But there's the wreck of the BSM Pandora, and there's also another BSM Pandora game. And both of those games are basically inspired by a sci-fi novel by De Voigt. I think I have a German version right here. Yeah, both of those games, they're basically based off this book called The Expedition of the Space Beagle. So this is, of course, a little riff on Darwin and Darwin's boat, the Beagle, that he used when he sailed to the Galapagos Island and got the inspiration to write The Origins of the Species. And this is the same thing set in space with expedition ships that go around to various planets, derelict planets, died out civilizations, and interact with different species that they discover. So this is something that you see. You can see the wreck of the BSM Pandora is really just the expedition of the Space Beagle, but the wreck of the BSM Pandora has a previous game which is about exploring planets. So this here takes place on the ship, but there's another game where you travel around like the Space Beagle in Van Vogt's book, which is from the 50s, I believe. See if we have a date on it here. Yeah, 1950. There's another game which must also be then like 78, 79, I believe, which is also coming in a second edition, I think just this year. Perhaps it's already out there. And it's again, allows you to travel to different planets and discover life. So in that sense, a little bit like Far Away that we played on the Hopeless stream earlier, but just in a more involved version. It's being published by GMT Games, I think, later this year. So that's also super exciting. So there's a lot of interesting things here, and I'm kind of enamored by all these old Ares games. So I think I'm gonna be streaming some of them. And Last Frontier here was kind of a way to ease you into the Ares. The Ares games are more rough and brutal and broken, but also something really to be loved. So yeah, I can see myself going down that path. I mean, we're in 93. We need to be back in the 80s, guys. We can't be hanging around the 90s forever. We need to go further back. So Price Crew asked, do you remember a computer game called Captain Blood? Reminds me of that, exploring weird worlds and chatting with the aliens. I do not. Like, I have not been playing a lot of computer games since like the early 90s, really. So, but it may be older than that. I know that Last Frontier has been compared to some computer games that some of you out there may know. Like, one of them is called Breach, which I think is an old Spectrum game from the late 80s, like a tactical sci-fi turn-based skirmish game called Breach. And yeah, it's an 80s game, I think. Sword Vanda says, amazing psychedelic graphics in Captain Blood. Okay, cool. I mean, I have to check that out. Awesome. I have to check that out. So maybe there's another connection here. But as I said, like, this game has been associated with Breach. And my own thinking was also that it reminded me of Laser Squad, which I think came out in maybe 89 or something. I remember playing Laser Squad on an old Amstrad, probably around 89, 90 or something, which was also one of those tactical turn-based skirmish games, which I really love. I love that in board games today. Is one of the reasons that I still play Space Hulk like 36 years after it was released, because, yeah, I just love those kind of games. And did Jean-Michel Jarre do the music for Captain Blood? Is that what Sword Vanda is saying? And Price Crew, that is fantastic. Yeah, okay. Well, you know, I am not the computer game streamer here on Hopeless Stream, but I could ask my partner in crime if he would be up for streaming some old school 80s tactical sci-fi games. That would be awesome. I would love to watch that. I have so fond memories of Laser Squad. I don't know Breach, I don't know Captain Blood, but I'm definitely gonna check that out. How crazy is this? Like, oh my God. Jean-Michel Jarre did the soundtrack for an 80s sci-fi computer game. This is so cool. Okay, I love you guys for bringing this lore to the table. I love this little exchange of weird old game magazines and weird old computer lore. I think I am gonna wind down the stream. So I'm just gonna thank you all for watching. It was a blast playing this game. I hope you got some kind of sense of what it's all about. And I look forward to seeing you next time with something that's even weirder than this. So hang in there, guys, and see you next time. It's been a pleasure as always. It's only Monday. What will this week not bring us? So many days left. All right, all the best. See you on the Hopeless Stream, and just remember, stop winning, start losing, and stay hopeless.